Let me begin by saying that this is the first video I'm filming since I got braces, and I'd like to just apologize for the audio experience you're about to have because it's probably going to be awful. I can't get my lips over my teeth. Okay, let's start for real. Hello, my time crunch teachers. It's Marielle, and today we're talking about student support structures because being able to support students is a key reason why so many of us chose teaching as a career. And in an ideal situation, it would be amazing if we had the time and resources to be able to facilitate one-on-one check-ins with every student every day. But the demands of teaching can make that somewhat unrealistic of a proposition, or just other things get in the way, or you just run out of time, or like me, you have a large class size, and so it doesn't really make sense that you would have time to check in with everybody every single day. But what if there was a way to create an automated check-in system that allowed you to get the pulse of your entire class so that you could provide timely and effective feedback and support? Well, today I'm going to show you exactly how I do that every week with all 30 of my 5th grade students. I'll be showing you my exact systems and sharing with you my easy to use check-in templates. But before we dive into how we're going to figure out what's going on with each of the students, we need to learn exactly who all of those people are sitting in front of you each day. First, I'm going to show you how to gather background information on your students' interests, challenges, family structures, and needs. Then I'm going to share with you my lesson on how to determine which faculty and staff are your students' trusted adults so that you can leverage the larger community to help support your students. And finally, I'm going to share with you my exact template that I use to do weekly check-ins with all of my students. Let's begin by looking at the way I like to collect all of the background info on my students. I made an entire video on the process and this letter that I send home the first week of school, but you can really use it anytime you want. The letter basically asks your students' parents or caretakers to fill you in on their interests, needs, or any other important information. I've found it super helpful to know my students' interests because it can be the perfect entry point to begin a conversation with a student so that I can build rapport right away. Of course, you could also talk to families directly over the phone or in a meeting or even a quick chat in the carpool line. But I also like this letter because it allows the families and students to share with you what they think is the most important. If you haven't seen it already, please check out the video and template that I'll be sure to link in the description box below. Once you have a good idea of who your students are as people, it's time to discuss the importance of students having a trusted adult at home and at school. The purpose of this is that this is going to allow you to leverage the larger community in order to support your students' needs. I like to begin talking to my students about how a trusted adult is someone who you enjoy being around and they make you feel safe and cared for. So this could be your grandma who taught you how to swim, or maybe it's your dad who loves spending time with you and hearing about all the books you're reading. The students love to share examples of their trusted adults and what activities they enjoy doing with them or what the adults do to help the student feel special. After we discuss that, I like to talk about how it's also important for students to have a trusted adult at school too. So this could be their classroom teacher, the school librarian, food services staff, or school counselors. Really, it's any adult who they interact with at school. The key is for them to identify someone who they feel comfortable going to if they need support or help when they're at school. They can, of course, go to their trusted adult at home first and have them tell the school, but sometimes the need is more immediate, so it's good to have someone at school too. When I taught this lesson with my 5th grade students, I explained to them that their trusted adult at school is someone who has their back and can help them be their advocate when they need one. I also make it really clear that I'm 100% okay if they don't pick me. I know that there are lots of awesome adults in their lives at school, and I want them to choose the person that they feel the most comfortable going to for support. Sometimes that's me, and sometimes it's not. After we discuss the types of people they might choose, I have them fill out a Google form. Here's a sample of one that I created. They enter their first and last name. This is important because it makes the form easy to search by student. Then I have a short description of what a trusted adult is. Below, I list all of the adults who they interact with at school. It's important to include the teacher or staff member's name along with their title. You may also want to include people that maybe only a few students in your class see. So, for example, your resource or intervention teachers, your after school or special program teachers, that kind of thing. I'll let you in on a few people who always get picked by all the kids. At our school, that would be the food services staff because they're amazing, our custodial staff because they're all super friendly and they know everyone, and basically anyone in the front office because the kids see them all the time and they know everyone's names. It's also really important to include this last option, none, I don't have a trusted adult at school. Because in theory, each kid should feel like they can pick at least 3 people off of your list. So if a kid chooses that last option, they need to be your first priority. So this is a kid that you're going to want to meet with right away so that you can find the best people to support them. It may also be helpful to bring in your administration and counseling staff. Having a list of trusted adults that your students feel comfortable with is super important because now if you see a student having a challenging moment or needing support, you can open up the document and see who they've chosen as their trusted adult. Then you can go to this adult and see if they have any additional information about the student that can maybe provide some context for what's going on with them. I've also used the trusted adult as a student advocate. So for example, when I was a dean of students and had to have a difficult conversation with a student, maybe about a behavior incident, I would often ask the trusted adult to be in the room with the student and work with them as the student advocate. This would immediately put the student at ease and allow them to feel like it was a supportive environment instead of maybe a nervous or adversarial one. And since the trusted adults often have the best connections with that particular student, they're also super helpful in giving me strategies and ideas for how to best approach and connect with the student. Okay, so after the students have filled out the trusted adult form, you can begin doing the weekly check-in forms. Now, this doesn't completely replace any conversations I normally have with my students, but it does give them a predictable, easy to access way to communicate with me. And I recognize that not every child feels comfortable having a face-to-face conversation with an adult. So I always like telling students that there are at least 5 or 6 different ways that they can communicate a need with me. So they can speak to me in person, they can leave a note on my desk, they can email me or have their parents email me, they can bring a friend along to tell me something, they can tell their trusted adult, and then they can tell me, or they can fill out this weekly check-in form. I like to give them lots of different options so that they have a variety of ways that they can communicate with me. I like the weekly check-in form because I set aside time every week for all of the students to do it at once. I normally like to have them fill it out on a Thursday morning. I like to have them fill it out midweek because it gives enough time for things to actually happen in the week for them to tell me, but it also gives me a day or so to follow up on anything that may need my attention. Here are the questions that I like to include on the form. I have them enter their first and last name, and then I ask, how was your week? After that, they name one thing that went well and one thing that they would like changed. Finally, I have an open-ended question where they have the opportunity to share with me anything going on that I need to know. Most of the time, the responses to these questions are pretty positive or cute. Like they love telling me that they scored a goal in soccer at recess or that the cafeteria served their favorite breakfast that morning. But sometimes they include things that are bothering them or things that they feel like they need to share, like conflicts or even bullying. It also gives the students some agency in their lives. Often they've told me things they've liked changed, like for example about our math centers or their seating arrangements. And all of this is great feedback to help me better support the students and run my class in a way that is meaningful to everyone. And of course, if your students don't have access to Google Apps or personal technology like iPads or Chromebooks, you could absolutely use these templates to create a printed paper form for them to fill out with a pen or pencil. The one advantage to it being online, however, is that you can quickly sort the data by student or by need and see how certain students track over a period of time. It also allows you to identify needs and use the information to refer the students to people like for academic support or counseling services. I've included both the Trusted Adult and weekly check-in form templates in the video description box below. Of course, the way they are currently structured, they only work up with about second or third grade level and above, since the students need to be able to read and write independently. But I've also seen similar templates that have, emojis or pictures that the students could select, or the teacher has populated the responses with easy phrases that the students can just select from a pull-down menu. Both of the templates I'm sharing are fully customizable, so you can absolutely modify the questions, responses, theme or header pictures. And just like all of my content, it's completely free, which is my little way of paying back the community who has helped me so much throughout my career. So check it out. If you'd like to see more easy-to-use systems, then check out this video I made on my simplified system for student data tracking. The system is perfect to use in preparation for report cards or parent-teacher conferences, and the best part is it requires practically no prep and very little monitoring in order for it to be effective.